Hello and welcome to your English news broadcast live on ERi-TV. It's exactly 10:30 p.m. on Eritrea's local time from our headquarters at Asmara with your domestic and international news in brief. I'm Zahra Badouri, but first we'll begin with your major headlines for this broadcast. An announcement from the Ministry of Health. Preservation of indigenous trees and more. On your international, China's envoy meets his South Korean counterpart according to yesterday's reports. Smoke clouds drift from wildfires blazing. And more. Welcome to your domestic in brief. One patient has been diagnosed positive for COVID-19 and tests carried out today at testing stations in the central region accordingly. The total number of confirmed cases in the country to date has risen to 9,735. The total number of recovered patients stands at 9,631, while the number of deaths stands at 103. Ministry of Health, Asmara, 4th May 2022. The strong effort exerted to preserve indigenous trees at Ad Umar administrative area is registering encouraging results. The administrator of the administrative area, Mr. Muhammad Ibrahim, said that the sustainable water and soil conservation activity coupled with the strong follow-up of the public has significantly contributed in the development of the indigenous trees. Mr. Muhammad went on to say that strong effort will be exerted in the conservation of natural resources and roads re-innovation popular campaign. Mr. Muhammad also called on the Ministry of Agriculture for sending experts to identify the unique livelihood and livestock diseases that is currently occurring in the area and provide enough vaccines. Ad Umar administrative area has over 2,150 residents. On your preceding domestic seminar with a view to develop the understanding of law in general and control the prevalence of crimes was organized to students of Walda Mariam High School in the port city of Asab. Speaking at the event, Lieutenant Hamid Idris, commander of the 2nd Police Station, called on the students to adhere to the noble societal values and refrain themselves from committing crimes and offenses as well as involving in unlawful activities, indicating that lack of understanding of law could not save anyone from accountability. Lieutenant Hamid called on the students to cooperate with police forces in controlling crimes and offenses. Lieutenant Hamid also called on the students to develop their understanding on traffic laws and to respect the law in their daily activities and especially while going to school. The participants on their part expressed the importance of the seminar in developing their understanding on law and called for its sustainability. On your final domestic, Indemso Award was provided to 21 outstanding students, including 5 females, that scored higher marks in the 2020-2021 8th grade national examinations in Arza Subzone Southern Region. Speaking at the according award ceremony, Mr. Asmarom Estefanos, head of the National Union of Eritrean Youth and Students branch in the subzone, indicating that the development of overall capacity of the youth is one of the major missions of the union, stated that the union branch has been engaged in empowering the capacity of youth students and civil servants, in which the Indemso Award is part of. Commanding the initiative of the National Union of Eritrean Youth and Students in cooperation with the Ministry of Education to encourage outstanding students, Mr. Rusom Kflamariam, administrator of the subzone, called on the awardees to increase effort in achieving better results in their academic performances. Stay tuned for your global reports after this short break. With your reports on the international line, China's envoy for Korean affairs, Louis Zhongming, met his South Korean counterpart, Noi Koi-dok, in Seoul on Thursday, May 3rd, to discuss the recent security situation on the Korean peninsula. Beijing is concerned about the tense situation on the Korean peninsula. Special representative of the Chinese government on Korean peninsula affairs, Louis, said as he arrived for talks in Seoul on Sunday, adding that both the symptoms and root cause of the tensions needed to be addressed, according to yesterday's report. Aimed stalled denuclearization talks, North Korea has conducted a flurry of weapons tests this year, from hypersonic missiles to intercontinental ballistic missiles. However, North Korea had not conducted an ICBM or nuclear weapon test since the year of 2017. Officials in Seoul and Washington say there are signs of preparation for a new nuclear test. Smoke clouds drifted from wildfire blaze in northern New Mexico on Monday as ferris winds and droughts pushed the largest active wildfire in the United States closer to the town of Las Vegas. Local police enforced roadblocks to keep people away from danger, as hundreds of thousands were told to evacuate immediately on Monday. The blaze has scorched more than 121,000 acres, or more than half of the area of New York City, tearing through centuries-old settlements and vacation homes in forest mountains of 30 miles north of Santa Fe. The fire is the most destructive of a dozen blazes in the southwestern region that scientists say are more widespread and arriving earlier this year due to climate change. Bearing since April 6th, the fire has destroyed hundreds of properties and forces the evacuation of dozens of settlements in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, but there have been no reports of fatalities so far. On your final report, small launch firm Rocket Lab USA Inc. on Monday captured a falling rocket stage out of the air with a helicopter before dropping it into the ocean, appearing to achieve a partially successful test of the company's novel coast-saving approach to recovering used rockets for multiple missions to space. The demonstration, involving parachutes and a long cable hanging from a helicopter, sought to check off a key milestone for the Long Beach, Californian-based company as it ventured to slash the cost of sending things into space, an industry trends pioneered by billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk's SpaceX. After lifting off to send 34 satellites towards orbit at thoroughly 6:50 p.m. Eastern Time in New Zealand, the Long Beach, Californian-based company's 4-story tall Electron booster stage fell back through Earth's atmosphere and deployed a series of parachutes to break its speed. At high altitude above the South Pacific, just off the New Zealand coast, a helicopter hang along vertical cable from its underside was steered by the two pilots over the booster, which had stretched to its side a capture line as it descended under a parachute at roughly 22 miles per hour. A helicopter cable launched onto the booster's capture line, as seen on the company's live stream, prompting cheers and applauses from Rocket Lab engineers in the company's Mission Long Center in Long Beach. Dear viewers, that is all for now with your domestic and international news in brief. Until we are back with some more news, stay and enjoy the rest of our programs. But until then, these are a recap of your today's major headlines. An announcement from the Ministry of Health as your primary domestic. Preservation of Indigenous Trees seminar on law and asset awards to outstanding students. China's envoy meets his South Korean counterpart. Smoky clouds drift from wildfire blazes and space exploration within New Zealand. That is all for now. Have a nice one.